Step number 2 of my system is creating a business. You have to have a business entity if you want activity to not report to you personally. You have to set up a business name. People say, well, Tom, what kind of a business? It doesn't matter. Any kind of business entity will allow you to get business credit that does not show up in your personal name. LLC, LOP, S Corp, C Corp, doesn't matter to me. People say, well, Tom, what about a sole proprietor? I say no, because a sole proprietor is not a business entity. It is you doing business as yourself with a fictitious name. So you want to set up a business name on paper. It's simple, it's easy to do, it's not intimidating. You can go online now and Google. You can get the Secretary of State for any state that you want. It's easy to do. Most states will let you do it for less than $40. That's why I've got 25 business names, because it's simple and easy to do. And some people are a little intimidated. Well, Tom, I don't really know if I'm ready to start a business. I'll have to do business tax returns. There'll be new issues. And I say, congratulations, you'll have to do a business tax return. That's the best news I've heard, because Uncle Sam wants you to have your own business. He gives you the best tax deductions that you can ever imagine when you do activity in the name of a business. So if you do something as a business, you're going to get a deduction on expenses that you probably have already. Vehicle, phone, the home office exemption. The work that you do in a designated home office environment inside your house is something that you can use as a tax deduction under most circumstances. The big question that people have is always, what kind of business is the best? I think it's clear it depends on your state. It depends on the kind of business activity you want to do. The most common structures are LLCs, LOPs, S Corps, and C Corps. And to have a business, to start a business, to get business lines of credit is not a complicated situation. You do not need a landline that's registered and listed under the name of your business. I have a cell phone number as the business phone number for all 25 of my businesses. That's pretty cool. You do not need to have a commercial office space with a commercial address. I have a home address as the business address to all 25 of my business entities. So this is not intimidating, it's not hard, it's easy to do. I will show you how to create a brand new business on paper Monday morning and immediately begin to go out and get business lines of credit following this recipe. Now, my advice for people is that the lenders do not like to lend business lines of credit if the only address you provide for them is a P.O. box. In fact, some applications say exactly no P.O. boxes allowed. So even if you use a P.O. box for most of your other business activity, I might recommend that the one thing that you use your home address for is your articles of organization when you set up your business and on an application for business line of credit, because you will have a lot more luck getting business credit with a real physical address instead of a P.O. box. So there are some things to consider when choosing a type of business entity. And those issues are, what are the most important goals for you in your business? Is it more important for you to have asset protection? People are concerned about liability. Do you want tax savings? Do you want to shelter your income? Do you want to create a legacy? Do you want to have something that you can leave behind? Each of those desires, each of those needs, it can be best accomplished in a different kind of business entity. And we're gonna give some brief overviews of each of the four and what each of them do. But it's a very important question for you to answer for yourself, and then to get some good legal advice on how to best accomplish that. So the LLC, to me, is the simplest of all of the multi-purpose entities. Most of my real estate is invested inside of an LLC. So LLCs are more favored by real estate investors over a lot of the corporate structures. They combine some great liability protection with tax benefits and simplicity. Okay, so an LLC, the majority of my 25 businesses are in the form of LLCs, but I do have a couple of S corps and C corps as those as my needs, what my goals are dictate the kind of entity that I create. An S corp. Let's talk about an S corp. An S corp is a very appropriate business entity for someone who's doing something where you get paid for your time, your effort, people who get paid by the hour. Now, every corporation that you start is born as a C corporation, and you must designate the S, the subchapter S. So if you miss that step when you're doing it yourself, you will own a C corp, not an S corp. C corp, the most well-known. When people talk about a corporation, most people are thinking in their minds a C corp. So a C corp is the thing that people most recognize as being its own independent entity. It will outlive you. It has its own legal status. But each of these business entities that we've talked about has the same concept. You know, an LLC has its own legal status, has its own protection that's completely separate from you. But the C corp is the one that has been around the longest, is the best understood, and has some of the strongest protections. Now, there is the issue of double taxation in a C corp. The corporation pays taxes on profits, and then if you were to take profit out, which of course you would pay tax again a second time. The reason why people are willing to suffer double taxation in a corporation is because, number one, you have more deductions allowed in a C corp. There are limits on the kind of insurance that can be deducted in an S corp or an LLC. In a C corp, there are many fewer limits. You can buy life insurance as a deduction. You have a lot more generous deductions in a C corp, and you have, in many cases, much stronger liability protection. That's why people would be willing to create a C corp, and a C corp is much easier to transfer as a legacy. If you're creating something for future generations, your loved ones, a C corp is going to be easily transferable to that next generation. LLP, the least known of all the entities, especially by me, because I've never set up an LLP, and they've been around for long enough now that they're getting some case history. Some attorneys will tell you, though, that they don't recommend an LLP just because they haven't been around long enough to have seen enough cases to know exactly how each case would be decided. So LLPs have a lot of advantages, and you want to find out state by state, based on what you're trying to do and the type of partnership you want to create, what advantages an LLP might have for you.
Business lines of credit are your shortcut to money. Everything you need to get new business lines of credit is available in Thomas Kish's training programs. You can use this complete $200,000 business credit building system to buy real estate, invest in the stock market, or start any type of new business.
I've helped so many people change their lives with this amazing shortcut to getting money. Now let me be the guide on your road to financial freedom.